night, Community Builder Meetup. Let's say hello to our viewing people. Yeah. I hope someday people will write out underneath these videos, when they're getting something out of them, because I get messages here and there. Some people just attend by watching these, and it's kind of their routine. But yeah, it's a way for people to kind of have a routine. And this is a time where we check in about building community and specifically what kind of hurts about that, what aches about it, whether it's a one on one relationship or with an entire community system or just even with yourself, because it's hard to build community when we're not connected to ourselves. It's just an open space to say the things that we might not bring up when we meet somebody on the street or we meet somebody in a random space. But sometimes having and holding space with each other to say hard things can be the part that helps us grow and change and move through whatever is hurting for the moment. So, yeah, you've all been part of this routine before. The first thing before we dive into those pain points is we like to talk about norms. This is a time where we get to teach each other also. Bridgemakers has our norms, which we try to mention every time. But it's also a place where you get to think about norms that you want to grow in your own community or you've appreciated about other communities. What helps grow a healthy circle, a healthy moment together so we take care of ourselves and take care of each other. So who would like to go first? Anybody?
Well, I'll with the smaller group, I'll go ahead and throw out a couple of the gimmies that we like to say each time real quick, but have your status on orange. So if somebody is joining off you are aware of it, have to accept their invite and can, go and meet them at the entrance and hopefully let them know what's going on. And also, as Haya mentioned with the camera going, she is streaming this to YouTube with nameplates off. So if there is, anything you want to talk about, you maybe want to keep it a little more non-identifiable, speak in more general terms, but also if you're feeling a little more self-conscious about something, I mean, first off, you have the ability to go and look at it yourself. So that, I know Hay has mentioned that oftentimes after, review, people are a little less worried about it. Whereas if they're, I don't know, I'm saying a lot, but you can go on there and look at it yourself. And if you do decide you don't like it being there, you can ask for it to be taken down and that'll be respected. And I think that's the main points of it. I don't remember if I missed anything important. I'm sure you'll. Oh, hold on.
Thank you, Carl. Yep. What else? What are other norms?
Could say you should RSVP.
Yeah.
Good to make sure that we know who's showing up and can prepare for.
Yeah. RSVP is a way to make it a practice. You get the reminders, but also it helps us know that this is a valuable time for you and you're letting us know you're coming so we can communicate. Yeah, thank you. All right. Axel, you want to go?
Sure. One that I know, I usually don't really think about a lot, but has been brought up the past two meets is the respecting the space, everybody. So I kind of want to throw that back out there as well.
Yeah. What kind of value do you get out of that idea of respectfulness?
I feel like it allows for more transparency.
Mm, yeah. And how do you know that you're experiencing respect?
I think I think just in the way that like you're just listened to and or people are able to just sit with you in what is being put into that space.
Yeah. It's almost like respecting autonomy, respecting your journey, that kind of thing. Yeah, thank you. And I noticed you used an emoji earlier, so that's another norm that by using emojis, um, that's a way to offer feedback non-verbally and let people know we have emotions when we listen to each other. That's how we code our memories. So sharing those back can be a way to like stay active without necessarily saying anything. So thank you. Yeah. All right. Nerva. What about you?
I had one and then it slipped my mind. I'm not
Mm.
too sure. It disappeared on me.
Wow. Is there another one that feels also curious?
Mm. I remembered one.
Oh.
Make sure to let everyone know if you're gonna leave. Don't just
Hi.
poof randomly.
Yeah. Thank
Say
you.
hello and goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Say hello and goodbye. And that's with our human first value of acknowledging that even though this can feel like a game or just kind of they're silent, yay, or just like a program that we can turn on and off, we affect each other and we're building relationships with each other that do make an impact. So, as much as possible, being human about that and acknowledging what's pulling us away. Hey, Silent. Welcome. Nice to see you.
Hello.
We are
You.
talking about norms today and what norms help us build healthy community. So we just talked about. Oh no, I got nervous disease. It totally left my mind. Oh, say hello, say goodbye. We just talked about that one. But yeah, Nerva, did you find any others?
The only other one I can think of, which is not the original one I was wanting to say, was take care of yourself for me as much as I do for you.
Oh, yeah. When you say that, it makes me think about how like maybe we feel like we're here, but we can't see each other the way we could in physical reality. We can't see if somebody's shivering or they need to eat or, you know, some kindness that we could give each other that we can't necessarily see or observe that. So if you
I
feel,
guess it,
oh, yeah, go ahead.
guess it relates now I think about it to what I was gonna say, which was relating to how you come, like how you show up,
Mm-hmm.
because no one else can take care of that for you, and the emotions you bring in,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like throwing your trash all over the place. You need to
Mm-hmm.
be responsible and you need to take care of yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
if you can't do that before you come into a place, that's on you. That's your responsibility.
Yeah. And that is adjacent to one of our norms, which is that we ask people to come practicing as much sobriety as they can, that this is already an altered space because of the stimulus with our eyes and our physical beings being in this otherworldly place. And so we ask you to, as much as possible, be present and be practicing with us on purpose. Sometimes we go into deeper, darker, harder spaces together. And when somebody's using a substance, it can skew all of us without really even knowing it because we can't see you necessarily. But we ask you to be accountable there and try to come here as present as possible. Yeah, thank you. Stylen, do you have a norm you'd like to contribute?
Hi. Norms. Okay, here's one. One that's close to my heart is an at least an understanding that in-jokes have the potential to be very alienating. That's not to say that they have no place. It's just having that understanding that if you don't kind of bring someone in first, then in-jokes can be very alienating to outsiders or people who haven't been like inducted into the joke.
Huh. That's a really good one. Wow. I feel like we need to write that one down somewhere. In jokes, and would the counter to that out jokes? In jokes, out jokes? I haven't heard.
I'm not sure what that would look like, but it's essentially the idea is that I guess it depends on the type and like texture of the or like makeup of the community, but occasionally you end up with sort of assumed cultures that do not then translate to I guess any other culture on the outside.
Yeah. And a lot of times if those cultures are built instinctually just kind of over time, they don't even know it's an in joke, but they still might be kind of feeling some power tripping off of knowing they all know and somebody else doesn't, or just
Yeah,
that.
if you know, you know.
Yeah. Like
Well,
I
and
think.
that to me, that's actually really insightful too, because like often, echoed complaint I hear about, community I'm in, but also just in general, I've heard it from other people here about other random communities. Is just the idea of like, oh, it was too clicky, like.
Right.
People, go and they try to join a conversation, but kind of bounce off. And that seems like one of those things that would definitely, you sit there and hear 2 or 3 in jokes in one conversation you're trying to follow, and you're just like, well, this is a group that's already established. I don't know what's going on. I think at one point we had joked on Ancients about having like a wiki or a lore channel or something where like it would just like describe all of the references and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and what can also happen with in jokes is the person facilitating ends up having to do a lot of the explaining to try to bring people back in, and so it can put the facilitator through a lot of extra pedaling and kind of emotional labor. Be tracking.
Yeah, that's
people.
Yeah, I think
that is I
that
think
was
the
my
second
first
part.
response.
It's actually then it is actually not enough to just you even like essentially the expectation that someone who's a newcomer into the group like catches up with the years and years of in jokes that in and of itself can also be quite daunting and alienating.
Yeah.
You got to do your homework.
So like
Right.
having that be like a hard expectation.
Yeah.
And not once again, not that there isn't like a place for those, that's like an important part of like culture and like community in and of itself. It's just like having that awareness and that understanding.
So true. Yeah, it also makes me think about some of the communities I know that have almost like these front facing group moments where hopefully the culture is built really clearly that like we don't do the in jokes in those spaces because we're really here to like learn that outer culture and be challenged and translate everything back as if we were brand new. And then, deeper kind of circles, we have more customs and rituals. We can relax more, but there's also different kinds of conflicts that happen there too. So this is definitely a more public facing part of Bridge Makers. And so, yeah, thank you for that one. That one's really wise.
It's a really, really insightful norm, because it's got like, we're going on a whole tangent with it, but I've thought before to discuss with you. I don't remember the context, but like, because it to a degree it brings to mind like it takes a certain amount of resiliency of an individual too to kind of be like, oh, what was that? And they start to explain it and be like, oh, I don't care. Apparently it's some silly thing from the past. Who cares? Move on. We're doing something else. But like, there's a level of that type of person who has trouble joining groups or has had that trouble in the past and has bounced off like that to, that you do need a level of like thick skin and persistence to like keep trying and find your place. And like, how do you kind of tell a person, not necessarily tell them, but suggest that they, that's something they need to work on as well when you're, discussing somebody who's having difficulty. You can't just say, well, get good, like to a degree, like at its core, that's the messaging, but you're really wanting to say, you need to develop yourself as well as finding a community that is good and gonna fit for you,
Yeah, I can see that. I also look at it as when I see somebody who's creating a lot of cultural kind of norms, and I'll challenge them to be the translator, of just be like, if you're gonna try to like make it closer and cozy, you gotta also build those bridges repeatedly. So that will kind of eliminate the in jokes a little bit because I'll make them translate all their jokes. We're like, all right, now you get to explain to those of us who don't get it what you just said. And then they eventually will be like, I want to tell different jokes. I don't have to explain because that kind of kills it. So, yeah, thank you for that. It can be good to laugh together, but when we laugh and we don't realize who's not laughing, we can cause an equal amount of pain and not really see that either. Yeah, it's lovely. So let me see what other ones. I just appreciate the kindness that I keep seeing and feeling here in Bridgemakers through. We've had some rough posts this week on our server, and um, the sincerity that people respond to each other with. I want to just keep naming kindness as a norm. Really, sometimes I feel like I open my eyes in the morning and I look at the server with one eye open and one eye closed because I'm like, is anything on fire? And then the next question is, did anyone say something really sweet? And I've seen both this week, sometimes at the same time. But kindness, it's the practice of working to add value to the group and doing it in a way that has timing and purposefulness and intention. Yeah. I'm trying to think if we missed any important ones. I feel like we covered most of them. Well, we'll figure it out if we walk off a cliff and be like, "Oh wait, that was a norm." So here we are. So now this is where we do our community builder pain points. And so we practice reflective listening. We haven't done this one in a while, but I'm curious if we wanted to switch it up a little bit. Instead of doing reflective listening tonight, we could do reflective questioning. I think Carl's been around for that one, but I don't know if anybody else has. And reflective questioning is instead of telling you what I heard you say, I'm going to ask you an open ended question that you're not allowed to answer.
You're going to ask the questions.
No, we'll each volunteer to ask one question of somebody else. And so an open ended, does anybody know the difference open versus closed ended questions?
A closed-ended question is like yes or no, whereas open-ended requires like a sentence or more to answer.
Or more, yeah. So you can recognize open-ended questions often with the word how, and or what. The more open it is, the more the question becomes the question itself. And the not allowed to answer, even though it can feel like, wait,
I just noticed the quest in question. Like, I usually don't get hit up on, hung up on stuff like that, but
Yeah. We talked about that a little
like
bit
right
last
in
week. But questions are gifts. And there's a part of us that can feel really excited and almost anxious to be like, I want to answer. I actually know the answer to that. And maybe if I give you the answer to that, then you'll give me a better question. And my invitation is to use the question you're given, even if it just doesn't feel like it fits at all, as a journey this next week. Hold it, Google it, ChatGPT it, ask that question to 3 of your friends, even if you know the answer for yourself, and just learn from it and trust that there's something there. And if you have a question for somebody who's already gotten a question from somebody else, but it just kind of sticks with you and you still want to ask them, then you're welcome to put that in the server chat, and just tag them, and then we can share some of the answers we find if we'd like over the next week. Would everybody be up to switching that up a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to give us some variety here and there. There's all kinds of fun exercises we can do, and sometimes I just get stuck on, let's all make sure we can reflect back to each other. Okay, so yeah, the goal for this part is, with the group size we have, let's try to go like around 2 minutes, just sharing a community pain point, and then the person in the circle who hasn't asked a question yet can, raise their hand to be the one to ask. And every once in a while, I will probably still jump in and do a little reflective listening, just to make sure we're all on the same page as to what the story is before the question's asked. But yeah, who would like to share their community building pain point or ache?
I can go.
Okay, Nerva.
Community building pain point strikes home for me when it comes to being passionate and thereby being overwhelming and having to withhold. And that's a pain, I'll have to say.
Wow. Can you give us a story or something to show us what that looks like?
The walls of text on Discord, and then I realized, oh, the half the day is gone, and this person is probably very overwhelmed.
Yeah. So you have shared a lot of your heart, feel really passionate, and then there's some part of you that wonders if maybe their quietness means they're overwhelmed.
I know I get feedback, but I understand that I'm overwhelming.
Okay. Wow. Huh. Huh. Thank you for sharing that. Is there any other examples? Is it only online, or are there other places where you feel like, yeah, I'm overwhelming somebody?
Mm, In real life, I'm completely reserved and I don't share myself at all.
Oh,
It's only online is the outlet, so because of that, it might be overblown. That makes sense, but
huh.
yeah,
Okay.
a little more too much of a risk in real life in that regard.
I see. Wow. Wow. So we're getting a picture. Who would like to ask Nerva a question, an open ended question about overwhelming people online with walls of text? And there's something there, feeling like you need to hold back in written form,
Just in general.
just in general. Okay.
I practice the holding back quite a bit.
The passion,
But
right?
but when it comes out, then it's like, okay, well, I get hammered again on the same sensitive point that
Mm-hmm.
has already been kind of the lesson throughout many instances throughout my life.
Mm-hmm.
You find me being fairly quiet for a reason.
Wow. Got it. Thank you. Okay. Who would like to ask Nerva a question about that? Hmm.
I got you one. I would say how genuine does it make you feel to, let it out?
Okay.
Like, is it?
It's pretty good open open-ended question.
Yeah. 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 There's something about it where I have a lot of feelings come up when I hear that question. And I get excited for you to hold that question with you. Well done, Carl. It's one of those.
Okay.
That's one of those
I was
questions that feels like a little bug on my shoulder. That's just going to ask that question now when I want to write walls of text. How genuine does it make you feel to let it all out?
And partially it was like I would ask that as because there was more to the statement that I would, kind of want more elaboration to kind of understand the whole nature of it. So it was more just a, something that to hopefully, get more out of the, like, it seemed to work out, but I was almost worried that it would come off as like a too generic and easy kind of thing. Like a not specific enough kind of.
That's the nature of open-ended questions is they're supposed to make us be like, I don't know how to answer that. And so it gets our feet moving. It gets our mind chewing on it. It's a little bit of a virus question. But it follows us to those moments and just says, what if I look at this a little bit different? There's nutrients here.
Maybe that's I don't know. People ask like how why what I've got some unknown quality of conversationalist that makes people at ease and such, and maybe the unconsciously using open-ended questions as conversation openers is definitely
that's part of it.
Element of that.
Yeah. You stir people up in your sincere clown avatars. You all have seen probably the same avatars every week. He usually is in a different one every week. That's
I
kind of
could just
unique
start
for
flipping
you.
through.
I know.
I was thinking when I loaded in, like I've been wearing this for a while.
I know. It's kind of interesting. That one really fits
It's a good one.
It is a good one.
Yeah.
Shout out to No and Colt. Okay, who would like to share another pain point? Your pain point. Who's next?
I'll go clockwise.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess a topical one. It's something that I think about a lot, but especially like quite recently. The sort of the kind of the balance in a community between between openness and like safety and protecting the people who are inside the community. That's something that I think about a lot, and I guess I don't have like very organized thoughts here, but it's like in the process of attempting to be open and then like building bridges that can like sometimes dredge up like past sour or like negative relationships, and there's always the question of like, well, how much of a responsibility, how much emotional burden do like does each community want to like take on themselves. And I don't think that's an easy answer. I think it like depends on the type of space and like what you're doing. with that space.
Mm.
How much emotional work you're willing to do.
Mm.
I personally I personally usually fall on the, if we're balancing on a knife's edge, I prefer to fall towards the side of safety of like, okay, I don't want to put this responsibility on us, right? It's not something that we have to do, right? It's something that ideally we should do because we want to, and we want to do that. And if it's not coming from a place of joy, then like I don't think there's any reason to force it. But at the same time, it's like that's one side. On the other side, it's kind of the experience of then being a moderator in like a space and being the judge and the jury and the executioner all at once, and like having that responsibility. I don't know. It's just like a lot of like, so it's a very delicate balance, and it's just I guess one that I've been thinking about because it's difficult to navigate.
So the juxtaposition of you had on this side safety, and so
and
and then
openness. So
openness.
like I guess to change my language, then I guess the act of then building bridges, the act of opening up yourself, like it is a vulnerable thing to do.
Vulnerability, yeah.
That and vulnerability always kind of like invites the potential to get hurt down the line. And it's like a question of, well, like how much of that risk are you willing to take? How much are you willing to open yourself up?
Yeah.
How much, and actually more pertinent, right? It's like how much am I willing to force others to open themselves up, right? Like in order to take part in the community space that I am attempting to create, right? Because like I know the answer for me, right? Like the answer, I know how much I am willing to open myself up, but like if I'm running a community, I am also somewhat in charge of dictating how much I expect others to open themselves up, and that's a more uncomfortable question.
How to bring people you're looking at on the safety and the more structure, right? The more like lack of expectation of synchronizing a vulnerability, and then on the openness end, it's like really being able to go where it goes and hope people show up for that. But sometimes that vulnerability can lead to moderation where you have to be like too much. And
sometimes there is a line to be drawn,
line.
and it's
right.
I do have a theory, and I won't get into that because that's beyond the pain point, I guess. But just like the act of like I have an answer that like I stick with, but and like try to stay consistent with. But I guess the pain point is like every time something like this comes up, it's the question of well, is this I reevaluate, like is this the correct thing to do, right? So like I do have an answer to the question of like where the line is. It's just like every time the line is tested, like I have to like ask myself again, like am I still happy with this?
So that pain point maybe is the muscle that is flexing back and forth between the structure, the expectation, and the potential consequence of not setting those structures ahead of time. Does that fit?
I'm not sure what you mean by that, but
so that's
I mean,
good to
if
know.
I could take a shot at summarizing, maybe, because interestingly, like I think I've been kind of struggling how to articulate my own pain point over here, and I think about like 97% of what you said is true of my situation being a moderator, and like I get that there's this struggle with like, I mean, I think weirdly it brought to mind like Franklin Roosevelt, like walk softly and carry a big stick. Like, there's like you're being part of this community in the leadership capacity means having to kind of always carry this, weight of responsibility of knowing that you're the one that kind of sets the standard and, but also, wanting to bring other people in that you're extending that trust to help carry that and hopefully, keep the spirit of your community as, you hope to see it continue. So there's this kind of ever present, weight of the, Atlas with the world on his shoulders, but it's just your, the community on your shoulders.
Yeah. And I do apologize if I'm being slightly vague. This is, I guess, you get a bonus pain point. This is number 2. In the sense of I am like somewhat like talking around the situation, because this is another thing. Like as a moderator, sometimes people will come to you and tell you things in confidence. Essentially, like the idea being that like they trust you to like not only not repeat that information, but also to like not even like suggest. Not even like vaguely suggest in their direction as like, well, maybe this person, right? Like, and that's also like a thing, and that's something that I will hold myself to. I take those the things that people tell me in confidence like really seriously. It's also that is also quite lonely sometimes. It's like have just like sitting atop a pile of secrets.
Yeah, wow.
And like painful memories.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's
been
part
there.
of the reason I'm being very very vague here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's
thank you.
bonus pain point.
Yeah, that is a
I
bonus
guess.
pain point. I definitely see you now. Like there's all these little bags of secrets, and you're just like sitting on top of this like mound of secrets, and they all have been carefully wrapped in these like sacks. But now you're sitting with them and you're not quite sure where they're going to go, and there wasn't, maybe at the moment they were shared, the openness to feel like they could be shared with others, so that you weren't the only one holding that. Yeah, that's definitely vivid. Thank you for trying to respect another secret, but also maybe it feels like a big one, or lonely, to have another one with you. Yeah. Who would like to ask Silent a question, an open-ended question?
I already used mine. I
Mm.
could definitely.
You did. It's not your turn anymore. Sometimes when I'm looking for my open-ended questions, I try to feel the pain in my heart when I speak it, because I want to give myself that question if this is ever my pain point. I want to whisper it to myself in the future or in the past, to just kind of both be comforting and curious.
I guess I could.
Okay. What's yours?
Something so heavy, you have to ask yourself who you do it for.
Who am I doing this for?
Hmm.
Yeah,
It's
there you go.
heavy question or light-hearted question, depends on what comes down to it.
Yeah, that one fits here. Who am I doing this for? Oof. Feels like a caterpillar. It's gonna crawl all over me. Who am I doing this for? Does that land on your shoulder, Silent?
I have tucked it away. Here is the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Holding it here.
You can wander over the bags. Yeah, thank you. All right. Next pain point.
I can go, as
Okay.
I think silence kind of helped me crystallize a little bit how to speak about mine. Although, as I start to speak, I lose confidence in that. But so I mean, the overall situation is kind of just more a continuation of like just feeling unsteady and things in a flux, but there's just as kind of like a specific event, and it's a matter of public record on the server, so I don't need to beat around it too much, but I'm not going to name names or anything. But our server was created at the same time as another server, and we've had a long-standing kind of sister server relationship, and due just to and the specific event kind of growing into a larger discontent over on their side, leading to a evaluation of us kind of just being like, yeah, we don't want to be involved in all that anymore. We've kind of severed that relationship, and no longer linked to them or gonna recommend people join them for alternate hours events kind of thing. But in that happening, and that's just kind of another smaller example of a larger within our moderator team, a little bit of that causing some folks in the discussion to look at the activity levels or specific things that are done by other members of the team, and leading to potentially some of them stepping down, or maybe getting a little more contentious and defensive of their position, or whatever the individual result may be. But overall, just a little bit of discussion and strife among the team there, and also just in real life trying to purchase a house and get moving into that, hopefully finally soon.
Wow.
Like within days, weeks. We've been closing on that for a while now, but a lot of bureaucracy and paperwork, and the job's crazy and always shifting and changing. So I just trying to roll with things.
Yeah. So I want to make sure I'm understanding the pain point has to do with a conflict between your server and another server, in that there's been a separation. There's been a disconnect there.
Yeah, that was the kind of more specific event of just one of the instances right now of things that are in flux. But yeah, the like I think the more my pain point within that specific event is kind of just the like, and I think I've articulated this even way back when we were discussing the helper one like hiatus thing, the idea of like, well, I'm inserting myself to be part of this team and be helpful, and if something happens when I'm not around, maybe I could have helped, and with the way my interactions are limited by my work schedule, and then also just the fact that with the sister server, we weren't directly involved in their moderation at all, so it's completely hands off of like, I don't know what's inside that black box at all, but maybe if I was in there, I could have been helpful, So ultimately, like when things kind of end up in a breakup or somebody getting banned or something, and I kind of wish I could have been more helpful.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, things are in flux, and realizing you see a brokenness that goes all the way back to the very beginning of your community, that has never broken like this, and wondering Just feeling the ache of that. Yeah. Anyone want to try giving Carl a question? Here's looking at, let's see, Axel Profidor. Or actually, Silent, because you both have asked questions. Yeah.
Now, for some reason, I'm like, I've really the last thing that you just said has really like just hung in the air for me. You know, I guess I really wish I could have been more helpful. I guess my question to that would have been, well, you know, what would have happened if you kind of sat by and didn't do as much? You know, what do you think would have happened? Or I guess does that kind of make sense? Kind of. Maybe
Kind of
that's not the best
the
wording
flip
of the
side
question.
of it, like if I had no input at all.
Yeah.
If we
Or
weren't
maybe
there in the first
How would
place.
things go?
Yeah. If you knew more of what was in the black box and you still didn't know, you still didn't do anything. Is that kind of it? Like,
I guess. I don't know. It's just I don't
if
know
you
that.
chose, if you chose to not do anything on purpose, how would it have gone?
I don't know. I guess it may or may not be. I don't know how relevant it is to the situation, but it's just those words just like hung in the air for me, and that's the question that it made me think of.
Because there's kind of a should. I should have done something more. I feel like I could have. I should have. And the question is going, what if you just didn't? How would that have gone? Wow. It reminds me of like a scene in a movie or something where there's like this invisible hand that just pushes on somebody to stop. It's like, really? but like, okay. But yeah, you get an invisible hand. You carry that with you.
All right.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. More pain points for our circle tonight. That's an ache.
I could go. So I feel like I've had a few pain points, mostly in real life, where I feel like I'm kind of just struggling in general, feeling a little disillusioned about the future. Had a stressful week. I fell off my bike. Luckily, I'm okay, but there's been like this aching feeling around like the upper body. It's made sleeping harder. It's recovering slowly, but I feel like I can't move much. But then I moved apartments over this past weekend, so I kind of overexerted myself a bit. And then I also had my birthday come around yesterday.
Happy birthday.
And it was mostly just kind of by myself. Had more exchanges earlier in the month when I could see my folks, but thank you. But there's this feeling of like I feel like I'm carrying this pain that like I don't want to unload on people, but it's like I don't have anywhere to put it. I don't want to become a burden, and I don't want to, overload someone else or throw like, it kind of like the opposite to Silence situation where like rather than being the moderator, I'm the person that doesn't want to cross any boundaries and cause any commotion in a community or even just amongst like close friends and so on. It's trying to deal with just emotional baggage that I'm just carrying by myself, and trying to figure out how to like kind of just navigate through life with that, because it's like I guess I'm just sort of struggling to, I don't know, like deal with the emotions. So yeah, I'm kind of, yeah, drifting a bit, trying to deal with these negative experiences without trying to ruin everyone else's day in a way.
Wow. Yeah. When you say it, I get this impression of almost like just in my body, I'm feeling this ache in my chest, and almost like there's this big bag of liquid on my body that's kind of like all right here, and it's sloshy a little bit. And so when I'm like talking to people, I'm just like, oh no, 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 ignore that. But I'm just kind of having to hold on to it a bit, and it's heavy, and it's right there, and it's pressing on my chest, and so I'm always feeling it go. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Who's got a question for our Furfidor? Doesn't want to burden people.
I guess I could try. I think a question that popped up for me when I was listening to you was when it came up with the emotions and how you don't want to like be a burden and stuff. So the question I had was kind of like, what tools and outlets are available to help process these deeper emotions?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a quest. It is a quest. If I'm not gonna, sometimes the fear with that. Whoa, this is a big piece. So if I do open it, I'm gonna turn it into the bucket challenge, and you're just gonna get sloshed with all of it, and then I'm gonna be like, "I'm so sorry, I've soaked you." And so this question is about what are different ways that this can be released. Yeah. Yeah. Which is also your question, I hear. And an echoing of that back. And specifically about the deeper emotions, which I like. I think some of that liquid that can gather is not necessarily the deeper ones. It's like a swelling or side effect of the deeper ones. So that adds a different layer to it. What about the deepest ones? What are the tools for those? Yeah. Makes me think about a metaphor. What's the metaphor that would have those parts come? And I want to ask about your bike. When you say bike, do you mean motorcycle? Because sometimes motorcyclists say bike.
No, it was a regular bicycle.
I think you talked about it last week, right? Like mountain
maybe.
biking.
Yeah. Oh, lost Nerva. I had like a really bad patch of road. It was like they were doing construction, and there was dirt and like huge bump, and then I just like didn't slow down slow enough.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. Wear your helmet, kids. It's very
Oh.
important.
Did you hit your head?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh God.
But
oh.
the helmet really saved everything.
Oh, good. Okay. Is this a whoops or is this a yay?
It's
a whoops and a yay,
thankfulness.
I guess. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that your head is okay. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Still feeling that liquidy bubble on my chest. So it's interesting to be carrying that with you for a moment. Maybe I have one of my own I get to work on. All right, Axel, would you like to share a pain point?
Sure. I think, like I was talking from the last meeting last week, I had my first play read through yesterday.
Wow.
Nice.
I know. Yes, I was so anxious and such a nervous wreck, but it went really well, which I'm very happy about.
Congratulations.
Got a lot of feedback, and so I think my pain point now moving forward is trying to find the way to
Welcome.
care for everyone's comments and feedback and applying them as I'm moving forward with the continuation of my creation in this piece and work in the way that they, as their community, that I brought them into mine and my piece, but is able to reach them as well while still trying to reach the targeted audience that I am writing this piece for.
Wow. Every time I look at Carl, he's another clown. It's very disorienting, but it's fun at the same time. And I hear you, Axel. There's something really important to that. I would also welcome Alcatraz. Watching you both slide down the hill in your complimentary but very unique avatars was quite the sight. I appreciate that. Axel, as you shared that, I looked behind you at this tree. I guess I'm giving you all metaphor reflections before you get your questions. And I see these light bubbles, like the fruit of the tree. And then I see all the fireflies that are surrounding those fruit. And so I was just listening to yours and going, oh, you mean like that? So like I see that light bubble like your play that you've written. And your play that you've written is giving you all these fireflies that are like lighting up and being like, look over here, look over here, look over here. And you're like, yes, and this is meant for more kinds of creatures and bugs. And other creatures will come to this. So I get to listen to your feedback and remember that it's not just your feedback that I'm looking for. It's a journey, and I have to tend to my fruit. I have to protect this fruit too. Does that fit? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. Wow. I think Professor, you get first chance to ask a question here. And if not you, I will. And you can ask me a question.
I guess I could ask, so, hmm, sorry, my train of thought.
It's okay.
Um, hmm, sorry, my mind's like blanking right now, but
That's okay. No, you can blame everything on hitting your head and it will work out well. Yeah. Would you like me to go and you can ask?
Yeah, sure, go
Yeah.
for it.
Okay. So, my question is, what happens to the firefly that gives you feedback and doesn't feel like you incorporated that feedback the way they wanted? What is their path? What is their journey? Yeah. And for me, that question makes me so excited to go and interview all the fireflies up there. And maybe one of them is really, really sad and it's like, they didn't hear me. They didn't take my feedback. I don't count. And I'd be like, what's going to happen next? What is your thing that will take you places? So, yeah. And now we have a fire here, courtesy of our shrew clown, I'm guessing. Wow, so many rich ones. Okay, and Alcatraz, you are late, but also on time because we love people that join us whenever they do. You're welcome. Also, we're just basically sitting around a fire sharing pain points. And we've gotten really deep and rich today. And then what we do is we give each other a question back instead of trying to answer or fix the pain. So you just heard kind of the tail end of one. So you can hear mine. I'm going to share mine next. And then if you want to add one of yours, you're welcome to. Okay. Okay. So yeah, just give it a go. No worries if not. And just listen today. So my pain point today, I have so many. I'm going through. I feel like I'm going through this whole stack of cards of like tarot cards or something. Be like, which one? What's mine today? Mine today is the feeling that whenever I get more feedback, um, a lot of times it feels like that person doesn't know that I've gotten equal and opposite feedback by two other people on the same day. and and it feels so invalidating to be like, actually, you know. But ultimately the feedback feels like a lot of people being sure that they know a better way for me as a community leader to build the bridge. Um, and I'm excited for them that they know something. But the actual pain point is I don't know how to turn sometimes that certainty that they have into an action to start building this bridge with us. Like advice can be very rich and useful over time because it is data points and it does build a pattern and all that good stuff, right? But that conversion from give me advice to give me help is really tough sometimes. And I feel out of breath right now. Just like how do I recruit without being considered like all the hardest things I've ever heard when I'm just like, yay, I love your idea. How do we turn that into an action that you can experiment with and you can join with us and iterate on? That's me in the most positive way, but that doesn't always work, you know? So I feel out of breath from all the projection, I guess, of a lot of people feeling like they know how it should be done better. And if only I would just listen to them, including all my advisors. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, I appreciate your advice. And when does that turn from projection to action? I guess I'm so tired. That's my pain point. So who would like to ask a question to me? Profidor or Alcatraz? Is that your hand being raised?
I'm like scratching my head. I'm
Oh,
just
okay.
thinking.
You're thinking about it. Yeah.
Mm.
And Profidor, if you feel blank, you can also open it up and just say anybody. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like excited because this is the one point where nobody gets to give me advice. I'm like,
Well,
oh, nice. Alcatraz is like, I have advice. Do you have a question? So open ended, just to clarify, is one that doesn't turn into a yes, no. It just opens a quest. It opens a path. So it usually starts with how or what.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in essence, with it's less of a question and more to build on what you were stating there. Everybody will always have a different form of perspectives and pathing and experience that for building a bridge in particular. And They may know one method that is valid, but it is not the only method. There are varieties of a multitude of different types, different styles, and there is no one way to build it. So, when you are given any form of feedback by a multitude of people that have that level of certainty, that's because it's from their own experience of it actually working, yet a lack of curiosity of there being yet another way for it to actually be capable of being built. Sure, there may be ways that would compromise the bridge, but there are plenty of other ways to where a bridge is reinforced. You can go all the way down to the very material it is. So, with something like this, I consider whenever I have feedback on something that I would think that I'm very knowledgeable in, I would take it as someone's exterior perspective of their own eyes on the expertise, whether or not they know more of it or not. You got people that may know more, and you got people that may not, but they are only sharing what they do know. So it's
So if I were to try to turn that into a simple open-ended question for you,
Yeah.
I would maybe, and feel free to tell me if I'm not getting the core of what you're hitting at, but I would just say, like, what are the goals and the intent and history behind the advice being given?
Does that fit for you as a converted question? What is their agenda?
that would be
Yeah,
the
their
closest way
agenda
to
is
put
a
it into a. That would
good
be the
word.
closest thing to a question. The only other thing that I may add to it is, are you willing to be more firm on your options, or more willing to be open to interpretation or ideas, but not giving in to said pressure of it?
Yeah. I
Clear tonight. 1 second.
Okay. Wow. We've got a whole community joining with Nerva. I love it. Yeah. So I hear some kind of either ors there, and the way that I would convert those either ors is, hey, you, how do you know your path is true, even when the advice tests you? How do you know your path is true? And camels are, wow, that's a rare viewing. We're getting a whole next chapter group to go on our world hop with us. Oh, that's lovely. So how do you know your path is true? And that conversion from both of you is actually really healing for me. Hey, Camel, how do you know your path is true? Welcome. We're just closing up
I actually
part
didn't
one.
charge my headset from when I last put it on, so I'm gonna come back in desktop real quick.
Thank you, Carl. Checking in.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Carl,
and
for helping
thank you.
out turn that into a question.
Yeah. And thank you, Axel, for making space for newbies joining. That's lovely. Yeah. So, really beautiful questions. And Frofrider, did you have a question to add to that, or did that feel like a
I mean, I was kind of leaning towards what everyone was kind of saying, but I guess my question would have been, what would be the worst case scenario if you really followed up on all of these pieces of advice? Could it really be that bad?
I need a script writer to write that apocalyptic bridge blown up moment.
I see.
That's lovely. Yeah.
I will be right back. I'm getting some bad lag.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I noticed a little glitch too. I'm not sure what that is. People are respawning. We got a whole churning happening here. I love it. It's getting us ready for a rocket ship world exploration tonight. So a lot of what we just did for the last hour is we explored the aches of community building, one person at a time. And instead of doing a lot of reflective listening, we did some metaphor reflections. Oh, it's such a cute picture. We did some metaphor reflections, or I did, to kind of give it a package. And then we did a and then we did a question. We offered an open-ended question as a way to kind of send each other on a journey of working with that ache. And so what I love about that kind of circle is we didn't just send one person with one question. We're now carrying the questions we gave each other in our hearts right now. And some of those questions may get answered in the next day or the next week. Some of them, it might take 3 years. I've had people come back sometimes with this kind of ceremony, and it'll be like, like 10 months ago, I finally have released that question. I finally found an answer for me, and I feel solid there, and I'm not aching anymore. And so it's just such a funny and interesting, lovely way to see these plant new seeds. So our secondary part of this evening is to get our avatars moving, our bodies moving, and go on a little world hop asking the question, how does this world make or break community? And we'll start with the world we're in as a way to get ourselves set up. And this is just with an intentional, almost like in physical reality. I don't know if you've ever been to retreats or anything where you'll do eat a raisin and describe it in 20 different words as you chew it, right? It's like a mindfulness exercise of slowing down and noticing something that maybe we just take as information because we're in such a consumerist sensory overload space, and ask ourselves from a community's perspective, what is this doing and what is this undoing for groups, for systems that came maybe expecting one thing and other things happened in their place. And so we can talk about how we feel in our bodies being in this space. We can talk about, a lot of times I pick these naturey landscapes. And so when we start these conversations, one of the number one answers I think I've gotten of how does this world break community is people are like, this world makes me feel my allergies that I'm having right now, like there's a lot of flowers or whatever. But, really gently but honestly asking ourselves, who would this world maybe be harmful for? And staying mindful of how these spaces, nobody's fault. These are gifts of people's imaginations and whatever else. But they do sometimes harm community systems if they're used in ways that are not thoughtfully set up. Like there's a lot of worlds in here that, if they were public worlds for a community, could actually lead to a lot of discord and maybe even predatory behavior, etc. So let's start with this world, and then I have an experiment that we might try to do tonight. I know we just did a new thing already, which is we might go to a world and do an exercise of climbing up a very tall tower. I'm a little self-conscious about doing this if Silent returns, because it's actually one of Silent's worlds, but I did a very spontaneous thing last night that I've never done with Bridgemakers, which is I live streamed with no plan to it in this world, asking the question, kind of how does this world make community, to just a public instance and just seeing what people's answers were. And I learned a lot. I really, really appreciate it. And the people I talked to are actually now joining Bridgemakers. So it's a very unique world, and I would love you as a group to digest it with me if we have Silent's permission. Hey, nice to see you.
Oh no.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Okay, sure.
So, so I was just telling them about the live stream I did last night, and that I'm curious. We don't have to do this. I actually have some other worlds I could show you where we could look at it if that feels just too much. But I was curious about us being playful and going to the monument world and trying out some kind of game ideas I'm having of how to engage in public spaces, specifically that one, in building new community rituals. Like how do we how do we make something playful out of that, but also learn about community in the metaphor that it just naturally grows. And if that feels heavy to you, I want to be really respectful to you that that might not be a mantle you want to wear
So
today.
Yeah.
no, so that's perfectly fine. There's one point there's one point that I would like to mention, and that is that like obviously I made the world. It's part of like I wanted to make art, and I guess part of that is that I probably won't be talking to I probably don't want to talk too much about like what it is and like why I
Art.
wanted to do it beyond like recorded information coming directly from me is kind of antithetical to the art.
Exactly.
That
Yeah.
that is all. Uh,
Yeah.
so
Fully
um,
respect that. Yeah. And I don't think that I would have done that live stream for some context for you. I actually got to go and I was looking for that world a couple months ago because I'd read an article on it, and I got to go to that world with a really uh, precious friend of mine who is an environmental designer and creator, and we usually hop, so we go through multiple, but we spent an hour in it right before the live stream and digested it top to bottom together. And so I felt really grounded in that space before I went into a full public instance and just like rolled the dice to see who I could learn from. And it gave me enough, which I've not done that for bridge makers ever, that I'm interested in returning to it, and I'm interested in the lens of this circle to feel that with us. Like, why is this world unique? Because that's really what I did here last night in that public space from multiple voices, both ones that were on camera and ones that said it beforehand. Like, to quote one person that was bordering in troll land, they said, I've never been in this world before. I come to the public instance of this world, and there are never a bad public instance of this world. And that's a statement. Yeah. Are you raising your hand, Alcatraz?
Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I gotta go. I do
Okay.
appreciate the brief moment that I was here, and
I'm
I
really glad you
just
came.
wanted to say
Yeah.
goodbyes.
Thank you. That's actually one of our
bye.
norms. So well done, you. Good to see you.
All right. Y'all
Yeah.
have yourself a good one. Bye bye.
Bye. Yeah.
Bye.
So we can do that, or
Bye.
we can stay in these worlds that are less public-y or less pressure-y, maybe, and still really do some great digesting as a circle. So I'm not attached, but just know that either way, I might do a couple more live stream experiments to just gather more data from people because actually, Camel, I love that you're here. And are you wearing the group that you mentioned? Yes, exactly. Okay, so Camel needs to see this world because I think this world could be a really interesting match to what you're doing there. The no block.
Intriguing.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
So that it's a match made in VR land that you both are here, and that monument world has finally come on my radar where I got to play with it.
Mm.
But let's start here. Let's start where our virtual bodies are at, and ask ourselves, what are we feeling head to toe in our hearts right now? Done doing a kind of heavy circle. I mean, not too heavy, but very sincere circle tonight, talking about what hurts, what aches, what's just breaking us and weighing us down. And what is it like to be in this space? How does this space make community or break community?
Mm. Makes me a little sleepy, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely feels like that moment before the eyes close. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I think there's a weird subtle movement with the grass where it feels like the whole world is shifting, and I'm just
Mm, yeah.
like I'm on a boat or something.
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
what they're trying to do, but it's if you're standing perfectly still, it feels like everything suddenly moves very
It's
slightly.
That's true. And that actually gives me feedback when I'm facilitating. I'm scanning constantly, so I'm less aware of that effect. And I think if I was
Mm-hmm.
more settled, that might impact me more. So thank you for reminding me of that. As a facilitator, I might be like, this is perfect for you all. And you're all going like, no, I need solid ground for like 2 weeks. So thank you for that. Maybe people with vestibular conditions gotta be careful. What
I
else?
also noticed that sunlight seems to dim and come back just like every now and then.
Yeah.
That's really making me tired. Like your eyes are literally
Oh,
closing slightly.
right. You're right.
It's dark and then bright and then dark
Yeah,
again.
you're right.
Like
It is a
cloud
kind of
is
sleepy
passing
world.
by.
Yeah, right. But it
Yeah.
isn't.
But there's no moving clouds.
Yeah, the clouds are static. I recognize the skybox, but it's just the ground
Yeah,
goes dark.
that is interesting. I noticed that too. It does feel kind of uncanny valley a little bit. Yeah.
A little bit hypnotic.
Hypnotic.
I would say
There
the
you go.
mood
Exactly.
definitely plays into the connectedness.
It definitely, when I came to this space, I felt like we were going to have the circle we just had. I was like, it's going to let us feel a little more heavy than we might normally want to, but it's not going to ask us to go too deep. And that's what I felt like I could budget for tonight. So I was like, oh yeah, this container will work. I can go through this circle. So there's a softness that allows us to just enjoy the beauty, but there's also an invitation to get a little dark if you need to, and say an uncomfortable truth. Yeah. I also appreciate that when I came into the public instance of this, there's not a right place to be in this world. It really allows you to find your spot. I like that the lamps are randomly placed, and so I wandered around for a bit until I found this spot. And I pictured Carl dropping the crackling fire, so I was like, this will be a good place to burn a fire. Carl just brings a fire with him, even when this asset wasn't there. Yeah. So who would is there anything for this world that it feels like, oh, this would not be good for a certain kind of community?
My comment was also positive, really, but it's I guess just that it's kind of the more simplistic side of it, but I do enjoy a place where it's just kind of scenic enough so that permissible to just like stare off in the distance.
Yeah.
How you were talking and I just looked off in this direction and stared, you wouldn't probably feel like I was ignoring you. Yeah, it's perfect.
So
Reasonable.
it allows your gaze to kind of space out, and there's permission for that. I just realized that if I was here running a social for complete newbies to a community, and I knew there would be like 40 people here, this would be really anxiety provoking for me because I would be really worried somebody would come in and not find people to connect with, and then they would just leave and I wouldn't catch it. So it definitely doesn't have a funnel that allows me to see who's coming in and if they're getting welcomed. Some other spaces will do that better. So if it's a really front facing community space, I don't know that I would pick this unless I had really well trained guardians that were spotting and holding different parts of the hill to make sure everybody is getting welcomed. My timeline that I ask for that when people support events, especially bigger ones, is we try to get to everybody within 30 seconds to 2 minutes at max. 2 minutes and they're usually gone. But 30 seconds to 2 minutes is the max range that will allow people to kind of get their feet, right? If you go in right at 15 seconds, now we're getting recruited to a cult, and where's the chanting? Right? But if it's if it's in that range, then it's gentle. And then it's just like, yay, you're here. You know, you got your equipment, you got your water. Sometimes people land and they're AFK, but it's a gentle way to approach. So those are kinds of things I think about in spatial design. I would need probably 4 or 5 people that were willing to hang out in different spots. And sometimes people don't want to do that in social VR when they're helping. So it just depends on the purpose of the event. Yeah, that's just my one thought. Okay, so by random voting, who would like to go to just some other worlds? Or you might have a world that you want us to ask that question. How does this space make or break community? So raise your hand if that's just true. And if not, we could also go to this monument world and talk about it a little bit together as a group and maybe come up with some new questions that I can ask people. Or if you'd like to join me on these live streams, I just had such a honest conversation mid current of people trolling as they moved along. Taco Bell came to visit us. We got shot at. We got flash bombed, but we stayed in it, and we had a real talk moment together, talking about the VR chat culture, and so I want more questions to ask these people because I'm hungry to learn more. I think the funnel of that world is really useful for me and what I like to study. So, anybody aching to bring us to a particular world? Be like, you got to see this world. And to ask the questions. Okay. Actually, before we go, just because it's such a cool opportunity to have you here, Camel, wondering, would you like to? Uh-oh, I glitched out for a second. Would you like to share a little bit about your no block group? Not to put you on the spot, but
Sure.
I think there's something valuable there. I'd like to hear more.
So the concept is that I glitched out as well, Dan, for some reason. Yeah, the concept is that it's purely a group. I don't intend it to be a community, really. But the idea is that it's just a group that says, I am somebody who doesn't want to block other people. And I think that, in my experience at least, everybody that is trolling is basically just doing what they are equipped to do in terms of introducing themselves to somebody and wanting to interact and wanting to be seen as a person. They just don't know how to do it in a healthy way. Yeah. And as soon as you make the connection from the other side by meeting their hostility with something like a curiosity or saying hello, how are you doing? I'm not really sure why you're doing that, but if you feel like just sitting with us and chatting, this is what we're talking about. 9 times out of 10, that's enough to kind of hook them, even if they don't want to or they don't feel comfortable interacting. They will still kind of hang around or go away and then come back again.
Yeah. Yeah. So in a way,
that's the idea.
The banner to some degree and the invitation is to practice that as a kind of way of being in community. That my intention is not to exclude to protect my space. My intention is to bridge to build a better space.
Yeah. And ultimately, if like my own sense of security, who I am isn't going to be impacted by somebody who is seeking to offend. I mean, the very fact that somebody would seek to offend another person that they don't know, I mean, that says everything about them and nothing about me.
Yeah, lovely.
So,
and in the live stream last night, if anybody wants to go watch it, there were people that were definitely trying to or I would say provoke a response out of me. People were very aware in that world that I was live streaming. Um, but when that provocation didn't happen, they just came and hovered, right? Because um, I didn't react, but I also acknowledged them, and then a couple times I was able to ask them some questions, including the first person who greeted me. I said, "Why did you say hello to me?" And they said, "Because I wanted to know if I should block you. You're the only person in this world who I'm actually showing the avatar of other than my friends." And that was just these kinds of moments to me are so, it doesn't mean everything for anybody, but they do matter to me to find these answers, to just hear some new perspectives around things maybe we assume. So, yeah, thank you for sharing that. About a year ago, Camel and I did an event together with another group where we talked about this concept through Bridgemakers of heart ninjas. Is those of us who just don't have as big of an allergic response to trolling as the average people, and why, like, let's get together and talk about that. Why don't we get riled up that way? And for me, a lot of that had to do with the project I did before Bridgemakers was called the Troll Project, where I talked to a lot of trolls. And so last night when I was interviewing those people, I was like, oh my God, all my troll skills are totally coming into play here, because like preschoolers running by and just trying to paint you or tug you or get snot on you or something, and just being like, I see you. So, yeah, so I didn't see any hands raised for you have other worlds you would like to go. Are people curious about this monument world and like come see the function of it? Anybody?
I am curious, but I won't be able to stay too long because it is 20 to 4 in the morning here. I need to go to bed.
Let's say you only got about 15
I
minutes
abstain
left
from
on
this
your
one.
event here.
Okay. Well, we can at least go see
Yeah.
it. What did you say, Silent? Are you? It's late for
I
you
said
too.
I abstain from this one.
Okay. Do
You
you
know.
do you mean you don't want to go to it, or
Oh no! It's like
can't vote? Yeah, I gotcha.
I'm not
Yeah.
voting.
Yeah. And do you feel okay, or is there awkwardness here? Would you?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Honestly, like I mean,
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
I guess um and I mean this is not the first time I've heard that there are like no bad instances just like
Yeah.
of the
Okay.
world, but that's something that fills me with I guess lots of hope.
Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah.
you know, that
Yeah.
that is.
And my favorite thing about hearing that, just in a random public that I joined, that was one of the first things I heard, was that's a good sign if a random sample says that right off the bat. Um, and and it's great to also meet you as a world creator, but I kind of don't care to some. I'm just kind of like, I found this a live one. I'm like, I don't care who created it. I want to understand the function of this. This is different to have that level of a clarity at the very entrance to a space that definitely had a lot of chaos happening, but it had flow, and it had cooperation. So yeah, let's go there, and then we're gonna do a checkout soon after. So we're definitely not gonna go to a public or live stream, but there's just really there's some interesting pieces I'd love to ground with a few of you here, and then we'll do a rapid checkout. So drop portal, go to a monument. It's got a very high altitude, but we're not gonna get up there today.
Oh, it's this world.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, check it out. All right. So before we go further along, because I actually am excited to maybe do some live streams in this, because I kind of feel like I'm going to do about a 20, 30-yard live stream further and further towards the tower every time, because I literally did the whole thing just like right there. And I got so much already. So I'm like, why would I go to the top of the tower when I can keep measuring every step? But I just want us to ask ourselves, like, what does this sign do to make community? What does this tell you when you land about about making community? Or breaking community?
Okay.
Any thoughts?
Hmm. Well, I think the world definitely directs you to its main feature pretty
Mm-hmm.
quickly, and
There
there's
you
not
go.
really any other way you can go. You're
Right.
surrounded in sort of a U-shape horseshoe entrance. It's just sort of like there's only one way forward.
That's right. Yeah. So it's giving you a clear option to run around it. You don't have to look at it. But it's also bringing up, and I don't necessarily know or honestly even care if this was part of the design. It's bringing up the idea of trust from the very beginning. And it's inviting you to make a choice to trust the space if you want to be connected to other instances. And that is a contracting, even if it's not intentional by the creator, that invites people to already buy into the game of the space and move forward with a willingness to not just be connected to people here, to be connected to something bigger than here. Does that make sense? So it's telling us, if you want to be part of something bigger, make sure that there's a yes, there's a green light going on here. And to me, these are like subtle, kind of silly little things, but they do convey information on contracting that we may not mean, but it definitely felt like I'm going to agree to that. So now I'm going to be curious about who I'm trusting here, because I could get hurt if I allowed that and I don't trust people. Right? So just an observation here. And if this was over on the wall here and I spawned in, I would feel maybe a little more fear. I would be like, maybe. But because it's directly in my path and I have such a curious thing above me, I'm having to weigh in my sense of, am I willing to take the risk to see what's next? And I've already just gotten some information to try something. How many people have already been to this world before? Raise a hand. One. Okay.
I have not, and I want to explore it further, but I have to actually check out.
Oh,
We brought a
yeah.
new kitten in,
Oh,
and
get
there's
Oh,
apparently the current cat doesn't like
gotta
it.
share pictures of the
Oh, yeah.
And
You gotta
family's
send
not too
pictures.
pet savvy.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure, we'll have plenty.
Tend to the kitten and send us pictures. And thank you, Carl, for
Alrighty.
being here. Okay. Yeah. We have maybe 5 more minutes before we'll do a kind of one word checkout with everyone. But I could probably go on, but I just curious what you're all noticing here. Emotions, just body senses. What's it like to be here with what you do and don't know about it? How does this world make community or break community?
Well, signs like
Very
this I
good.
find always impose, but
Yeah.
it's a necessary one.
There's a block to it, right? But it also doesn't lock you in. And so being able to run past it, I don't feel shamed. There are worlds that will absolutely trap you in a box, but it is a contracting, right? There is a like,
Mm.
you might want to know this or else. And also for many of you may not know this, but that little outline is like a coupon sign for me and my age. And so I'm kind of like, ooh, a coupon. I never used coupons, but it does have a symbolic, just even the idea. So, and spatially, there's a cactus in my direct path. So I am being prompted to eventually just go around it. It definitely isn't saying you have to go through this. There's literally a prickly thing there. So now there's curiosity. Have you ever wondered what it'd be like to build a monument? Something so large, a single person could never hope to create their own? Is synced across all instances. Mine rocks, chisel them into bricks, help us build a better monument together. So that's a call to action, if I ever saw one. How does that call make or break community?
It's a challenge.
It's a challenge. Yeah. It says that this isn't just a game, right? That there's something else happening here. Yeah. And it feels a little bit like a story of once upon a time you were in a story. Did you ever dream of doing something like you're about to see? And so just those two signs that are not blocking the entire path, but I'm definitely in a funnel, have set me up to feel like I'm on a journey, and I'm going to counter anybody else beyond this sign on that journey with me has consented to be on that journey with me. Maybe they read it, maybe they didn't, but we're doing something here. We're going towards something. I've got my marching orders, so to speak. Yeah. So spoiler alert for those of you who haven't been here, I really encourage you to explore the full world eventually. And I know Carl will come back. He's one of the leaders of one of the bigger communities in VR chat. So a kitten would be one of the only things that would probably prevent him from sticking around because he's definitely very intrigued with this kind of stuff too. But yeah, spoiler alert is you can literally add to this tower going into infinity here. And it is an exercise in discipline to follow it through and try to figure out why everybody would do that. And full acknowledgement, when I heard about this space just as a concept, I was kind of skeptical and a little jaded with my experience of the culture in VR chat. And so I was kind of like, what does that mean that so many people are participating in this that doesn't seem clearly values driven? And that was my mistake. Thankfully, our community pulled me back off of that really quickly and said, nope, you missed it. And so then I got it on my list because I really respect the voices that gave me a new perspective quite quick. But yeah, we think that community requires a really complicated recipe and a lot of investment. But the answers I was getting yesterday from the people just hanging out in here who also told me that they don't go to public spaces anymore for years now. But here they were, right? And that is even more interesting to me. I'm like, what? You're coming out of hiding? What brought you here? One of them was here on, I guess, day one, building the very base of it. So this was them checking on what had happened since then. This is a 2-month-old world. And that has been built by individual bricks. What does that tell you?
Honestly, I just have so many technical questions. All I can think about is how is this actually possible? And I have a bunch of questions for you when we're done here.
Yeah. You want to pester
Okay,
the
after we're done,
creator,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just so curious. How?
Yeah, the designer in you wants to digest the zeros and ones. And for just this last moment, we're lingering together because we're not going to get much further today. What do you feel in your heart? What do you feel in your body right now? What does this do for you to see a space like this? Any and all answers are welcome.
Curiosity.
Yeah.
A word for me is invitation.
Invitation. Yeah. Lovely. Any other?
It's also like, how does? I am fascinated. I'm going to explore this more, but how long does it take? Like, how realistically, how much progress could one person make?
I invite you to look at. Yeah, go ahead. There's an end.
And I wonder whether it's destructible. Once the bricks are placed, does it allow for people to remove them?
Bricks.
That's interesting. Yeah. No.
And if it was, I wonder how tall it would be.
Ooh,
I'm assuming that it isn't.
Disassembled, right.
Mm-hmm.
So
the constant fight back and forth to keep building it back up.
It reminds me of the Pixel War maps that are happening all over the world. That you're fighting for a space that is limited, and it's just one pixel at a time, and so all the pictures that keep being drawn over each other. Yeah. Well, I would invite you to, at some point look at how old the world is and how many people have visited. And that's going to give you a clue as to how this has happened in 2 months, I think, or 3. It gives you some information, I think, about maybe the hunger to build community in this application. That's not too grandiose. So on the threshold of a journey that we're not going to actually get to go through today, but so many possibilities, it feels like a match in heaven to bring the two of you together. I actually think I tagged you both on the server from somebody's intro. I'm not sure. But there's some really, really interesting overlap going on here. And maybe it was
this
you.
is fascinating.
Yeah. Perfect timing. The serendipities of it all. We're going to circle up here and do our closing. And so this is a 1 sentence, no responding allowed. You all have the discipline to do this. I can't always say that to the crowd in here. 1 sentence appreciation for somebody in here and how they have grown us. And we're going to go in a circle and try to appreciate somebody who has not had that 1 sentence given to them yet. We're going to see if we can make sure everybody's gotten, no matter what. It doesn't have to be I see your soul and you complete me and whatever. It can be as simple as how you move, how you speak, how you listen. But just seeing I see you and you impacted me somehow is important here. So who would like to start? 1 sentence. No run-on and sentence.
I could go. I appreciate Camel explaining his no block initiative group. I think that's, at first I was like, well, how do you actually deal with trolls? But the way you described that when people are trying to, get a reaction out of you, giving them an actual genuine connection rather than a sense of disgust can actually form a bridge. And I don't know, it didn't really occur to me like just how simple that is, but it probably is the case, and it makes me more interested in wanting to reach out and try to connect with people who make me immediately want to block them.
Thank you.
Yeah, lovely. So Camel, you get to go next if you'd like to pick someone here. Offer appreciation.
I mean, you've given me an open goal, like an obvious choice right now.
I did. You're right.
That's so nice to have that that feedback about it. Like sometimes I feel a bit defeated by it a little bit because some of the responses to it I've got like not. It was supposed to be 1 sentence, wasn't it? Sorry. Thanks. It was cool. I mean,
for getting it. Yeah. You heard me, right? And that's the piece. You heard what my intention is here, and that's a relief. That's the gratitude you just gave. And you finished the loop, which we don't always do. So I did make that an opening. Who would like to pick up the proverbial ball and throw it to somebody else? And I can get it started if not. We got Axel, Silent, Profidor, Nerva. Would you like to offer an appreciation to one of the four of you? Mm.
Is it like free for all right now?
Yeah, you just grab it and be like, I'm going to do it.
I see. Silent? Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yeah.
Hi, okay. Glad to... Don't do that too loud. Hi. I appreciate your energy. I especially liked what I heard earlier this evening.
Wow. There you go. That's it.
Thank you. Thoughts. You know, yeah, I appreciate that. I guess this is going to be for either of you, but I'll pass it to you. I appreciate that you call out when one of like the group values are like expressed. I think I really like that. That's something that I want to start doing myself.
Thank you. That's really lovely to hear. Yeah. Oh, that makes me almost tear up. I don't even know I'm doing it. Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. So, I'm going to send this to Axel. Axel, I appreciate how much you care about the lightning bugs who care about what your gift is. Yeah, your tending makes me feel tender. Yeah.
Oh, is my mic working? Sorry.
Now it's working.
Yeah, so I guess the other person is Nerva.
Let's see. We've got Profidor or Nerva. Yeah.
Well,
oh wait, no, Frowen.
Himmelbone. Yeah.
Did you start it, or did you both? You both appreciate
I
it. Okay.
started, but
It was,
then
you both got
back and
Hannah
forth.
gave me it right back.
Yeah. So Nerva, yes, you got it.
I appreciate all of the ways that you're coming and holding community.
Oh,
thank you.
That's tender. Yeah, that was such a good way to close it. That is the ultimate answer or acknowledgement of the intention of this weekly meeting also. So I will echo that to each of you. I appreciate all the ways you are holding community, even when it hurts. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So with that, we're going to get a photo somewhere and we're going to say goodbye to our accompanying 3 viewers maybe, but still very important accompanying viewers that are getting to enjoy this journey with us. So where is my camera? I always forget. Yeah. Where should we get a photo, Silent? You get to choose. I'm sure you have had plenty in here. Pick something unique.
Actually, not really.
Oh, really?
I mean, personally, I like the little tent.
Oh, let's go to the tent. Okay, we're gonna go to the tent to have some tea.
have so many questions.
You what?
I have so many questions for Silent.
I bet. I know. Silent's going to get fan pestered, and I'm going to
I
probably
know.
stick around by this if Silent wants
Yeah.
those questions, because I want to hear them
I
out
will. I
loud.
will.
Meet.
Yeah.
Let's nerd out. Yeah.
Oh,
So
is
we're
there a little,
gonna
little tent
we're gonna
here?
have some tea together. Look at that. I
My
love
tail doesn't get
seeing.
in the way.
I know. I love seeing Nerva's tail stick out of the tent. It's just hilarious. All
Give him a
right,
fun
look, we get to have some tea together. Oh, I'm gonna actually pull this around here. Okay, I think. Do I have us all in camera? I think so. All right. So, what's our toast for the night? Or maybe we're having couscous. I'll have some couscous. What's our word for this evening? And everybody just say a word at the same time, and we'll see which one sounds by random vote. What's your word for tonight?
That's on top of my mind. Is Firefly. I like that one.
Firefly.
Mhm.
Oh, everyone good with that? All right.
That works
So,
for me.
good night, Bridge Makers. Firefly episode, whatever number it is. Thank you for joining us. Yay. Oh, that's such a good way to close.